Welcome to the HEARTS Entwined podcast. In this podcast, we'll be having discussions around the secrets which attract lasting, healthy, fulfilling relationships, creating a healthy mindset, and what women should know and understand about men. Introducing your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, relationship expert, trainer, speaker, and best-selling author of the Cupid's Bow technique. Lyn's mission is to have a positive impact in reducing divorce, domestic violence, and suicide.
Welcome to the HEARTS Entwined podcast. This is your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts. And today I've got something completely unique and completely different, but something that's very, very relevant, especially if you're single and especially if you use online dating sites. I've got David Scott, who's a guy who's been really delving into this deep, and it's going to give us some great insights and information around how to spot the red flags around all this stuff. So very excited to welcome you, David. All the way from, where is it you're from?
Georgia, United States of America.
All the way from Georgia, United States of America. Okay, David, it's wonderful to meet you, and it's a really fascinating topic. I'm really going to be intrigued to see where this goes today. So online dating scams then, how did you get involved into, going down this line and delving into this as a subject?
So it's actually kind of interesting, Lyn. I was actually doing some research for internet security position at a company. And during my research, one of the things that I noticed is there was not a lot of information about romance scams. And just off to the side, I just kind of started piddling around and doing a little bit of research on how they worked and things of that nature while doing the research for this position, coming up, dealing with the different techniques that hackers use and things of that nature. So I just kind of piddling off to, here and there with the research and kind of started taking some notes. I guess in about the end of 2017, somewhere in October, I guess, and maybe a little bit before, I received a couple of random messages, and I didn't actually pick them up and respond until the beginning of 2018. And I guess that's really what kicked off really the deep dive of the whole online romance scam community thing. So yeah, and then from there I just kind of dove in and thought it'd be a good idea to do research and start writing some documentation on the romance scam. And the only way that the romance scam is actually going to work is they have to receive money.
Yeah.
So I started using money.
So did you actually test this out for yourselves then? As a sort of pretending to be, somebody that had been coerced into, them believing that you're somebody that's interested in them and would be, stupid enough, I suppose, that in their eyes, to part with the money.
Yeah. So, interesting enough, I had a little extra money, and the first request came in, and now I had been getting requests prior to that for. Help me out. Can you, give me, $25 or whatever? And I'd always said no and blocked them. Typically, that's what most people will do.
Yes.
Until it was, I got some extra money. Let's see what happens. So I effectively made myself the target. I kind of reversed it. I wanted to know how far they were willing to go to continue to try to get money.
Yes.
And it's scary, very detrimental.
Yeah, I understand that. I actually saw this, in motion when I was single after me and my ex-husband separated about 10 years ago now, before I met my current partner, and I was using the online dating, and I actually saw it in action myself, but I'm an ex-police woman, so I was sort of looking for red flags, if you know what I mean, around those sorts of things. And but if you actually have got some awareness, they're quite easy to spot, but obviously most people don't have that awareness.
That's absolutely right. one of the advantages that I actually have over a lot of individuals who are on online dating sites is I've actually been doing computers for 30 plus years. So back in the catfish days of AOL,
yes,
I was around at that point, to see what people were willing to do to meet somebody and things of that nature. So I kind of knew that once I gave out the first bit of money, that was it. There was no turning back.
Yeah, they thought they'd got the fish hooked.
Yeah, and it's the mindset of the scammer is very interesting, because they think that it's very interesting. They actually target certain individuals based on their age, their look, what they have going on. And so when you give them that money, they think that you are, quote unquote, that lonely that you're willing to pay somebody for their companionship.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just kind of go from there. They escalate, and there are absolutely no means that there's nothing that they will not do to get money. And when I say that it's horrible, I've been blackmailed. I actually have about 6 FBI reports that I've made because of what they do in order just to get a $25 gift card.
Really? So even, for sort of, I suppose, relatively small amounts of money, they're willing to go to quite extreme lengths?
Yes. Oh, yes. It's an interesting fact about the money. And I never knew it until I started diving into it and, paying, $25 here to this person or $50 here to that person. One of their techniques is that, $25 is not a lot.
No.
It's, and relatively speaking, it's not.
No.
$25, it takes me almost $50 to fill up my truck. So $25 is not a lot, Lynn. So, but it's not the short-term amount that they're going for.
No.
And that's the thing about the romance scam is what makes them so difficult to really figure out is it can take as short as 10 minutes or as long as a year and a half before they ask for money.
Right.
And that's what makes it so difficult to really determine if the person that you're talking to is actually a scammer or not.
Mm. Yeah.
There was one, I'm going to say young lady, that took about 6.5 months before she started asking for money. Now, typically speaking, in a normal online dating type of relationship, 6.5 months is a long enough time to actually build a rapport.
Yes.
Starting to feel some feelings, starting to get a connection.
Mm.
And that's when the hook kind of reverses, because the target, which I made myself, is now kind of attached to that person that you're talking to.
Yes.
And so when they say, "Hey, I'm running a little short on my bills. Can you send me $100?" 6.5 months, 7 months in, you're like, "Yeah, sure, I can do that," because I think I know you.
Mm.
And then you are really hooked.
But I suppose some people can afford to, sort of, I suppose, invest that time building that emotional investment from the person they're scamming, because they've probably got other people that are previously further on along the line that are, paying them bigger bucks to tide them over in the meantime.
That's right. Yeah, it's the online scam, the online romance scam is very interesting because I'm one person and I think I'm talking to another individual, and that other individual may be talking to 10 other individuals.
Yes.
So if I send $25, and each of those 10 people send $25, they just made $250, right? Is that the right math? Yeah. They just made $250. So it's even in a short-term investment, if they have 5 of those 10 people block them and the other 5 give them $25, they're still making a pretty decent amount of money.
Yeah, and they could all be at different stages of how much, those targeted people have invested in that relationship. That's
right. That's absolutely right. And, so I've actually gone out and the unfortunate thing about the online romance scam, and I actually fell prey to this, is that it's the actual connection that everybody involved gets attached to. So once I gave the first individual $25, I now know that they're hooked.
Yes.
They're never going to leave me alone.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only way to get them to leave you alone is you literally have to stop talking to them.
Yes.
And if you're connected to that person, it makes it very difficult to stop. And that's how that romance scam actually works.
Mm.
And it's going to be such a bigger issue as time progresses, because as we all get older, we all start working, we all start getting busy, and we don't really have time to go out and socially meet people face to face.
Mm.
Or an individual is too awkward, or they don't feel comfortable with that. Chances are something's going to hinder them from meeting, like going to a bar, et cetera, et cetera. So as the online communities continue to grow, such as Tinder and I don't even know all the apps. The only one I know of, Tinder.
Yeah, Tinder is the main, I think, mobile app, isn't it? And then there's literally thousands of online dating sites, isn't there?
There is, and it's they spin them up, and then they've got you hooked into that site that's giving you a social means of outlet, or a social outlet means to intermingle with individuals, either on a hobby base where you've got the same hobbies, or if you're just trying to hook up, like I guess that's what Tinder is used for, to do that. And scammers just kind of, that's their feeding ground. That's where they go, because everybody on these dating apps are effectively alone and or lonely.
Yeah, it makes my heart really, really, really sad to hear that, because they are preying on really the lonely and the vulnerable, and it makes me very sad to think they're going to be the ones that are going to end up, massively out of pocket, not only financially, but emotionally as well.
Yeah, the psychological damage, as well as, the financial and the emotional, those are kind of a given. But one of the things that you don't really comprehend until you actually are connected and you're, quote unquote, feeding into the illusion that they're giving you, that they're going to meet you and spend the rest of their lives with you, is the psychological connection.
Mm.
These scammers, I had one individual was using pictures of children. So they were sending a picture with them and their child, things of that nature. So they actually go over the top to make that connection work.
Have you any idea of, how many of these, are they all fake pictures and fake people? I mean, I'm assuming that some of these women that are represented are just men, actually.
Yeah, so I'm actually kind of in the process. I'm tooling around the idea of writing another, basically a 7th or 8th book, or whatever number it is, about the person behind the words on your screen.
Yeah.
one of the things that I noticed on Facebook and Google Plus before they shut it down is the amount of individuals that are putting their stuff, their identity, their pictures, their families out there for the entire world to see. So what happens is a scammer will go and steal photos. And then they go to, because they'll go to family photos, because most people that have a family aren't going to be on a dating site. So they go to a dating site using a stolen picture.
Yeah.
And so that question is really kind of hard to answer, because you think you're talking to the person in the picture.
Yeah. Have you been aware of, I suppose, any difference in the way potentially a man might speak to you, pretending to be a woman, and the way a woman who is pretending to be somebody different speaks to you, or is it similar?
There is a difference in the way that a man will hold a conversation with me versus the way a woman will hold a conversation with me. There's the built-in want or urge of an individual. For example, a man who is interested in women is going to talk to another man differently than he would talk to a woman.
Yes.
Vice versa, a woman who is interested in a man is going to talk differently than she would talk to another woman. And that kind of comes out when I'm talking to a female. Their sentence structure, what they say, some of their urges that are displayed in the text are typically womanly. If that makes sense.
No, I think you can pick up the masculine and feminine energy, because after all, we are different in the way we think, the way we feel, as well as, physically. And it's commonly known that women sort of speak, I think, at least three times as many words as men, and even in text talk, so I think sometimes, it is quite obvious, whether you're speaking to a man or a woman, if you're aware of these things.
That's right. And it's the sentence structure is different. Everybody, including me, when you're reading a text, you get a sense of what that person is kind of thinking at the time that you're reading it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've noticed adamantly is if an individual will not video chat or audio call you. Now, there's a couple of different things there, but the majority of the time that I've come across, it's because I was talking to a man trying to portray himself as a female. To the point of I've actually done a video call where the teenage boy actually had another phone with a picture of a woman on it, trying to pass it off.
Yeah, funnily enough, I can remember when, as I say, I was approached and I saw red flags around some of the profiles on the dating site I was using. And I decided to play the game a bit like you, but I wasn't going to invest. I didn't go as far as to invest any money, but I did, see, well, let me just see what happens, if I respond to this. And in actual fact, although he was a white Caucasian, supposedly military officer, when he did it, I did insist that he get on a call, and you could tell he was, obviously from Africa with a very definite black African voice.
Right.
And I thought, do you think I'm that stupid?
Yeah, they a lot of the scammers scammer. Now there is a difference between a scammer and a catfish. A scammer's goal is to catfish you to get money.
Yes.
But it's not just money that they're after. And that was what interested me the most is, the top telltale sign for me is send me your picture. That is the top telltale sign. Because they're not necessarily, that scammer is not necessarily after money. they want identities. So it's not just the financial backing that they're going for. Although they can get money, they're going to take the money, clearly.
Yes. But they also want to steal some people's profiles whilst they're doing it.
Yeah, and the more pictures, and this is what the scariest part. So the first individual that I gave money to played, she was pretty good. She was Asian, and the whole gambit of attempts. My aunt needs surgery. The hospital won't operate till I pay. There was a car accident. That's all that started about, I'm going to say, probably 2 months in. The first 2 months, it was normal communication. Hey, how are you doing? How's it going? Tell me a little bit about yourself. That's another telltale sign. And so being new into the whole giving out money, I knew that I was making myself a target.
Yes.
But so I hadn't gotten my emotions and my psychological attachment under control yet. So I fell prey to it. I got connected. And that time there was pictures going back and forth, pictures of family, pictures of my family, pictures of my kids, pictures of her child, et cetera, et cetera. And then it turned horrible, to say the least. That's so the 6 FBI reports that I have are on one individual.
Really? Is that
yes.
This one that you're speaking about now, or somebody else?
Yeah, no, it's the one that I'm speaking about now. And it was, they were, the story totally unbelievable, and I didn't believe it because I was trying to follow the money. Was that they were kidnapped when they were a young age. They were forced to do things in an illicit manner.
Like into sex trafficking and that sort of thing.
Yes. And they were going behind the people's back to try to find somebody to help them. Well, I knew it was not a truthful story, but I figured, why not? This clearly is a scammer. Let's see where it's going to go. And that's, it didn't equate to me that this person would try to destroy innocent lives by posting stuff online just to make $25 gift card. And that's exactly what they did. And so it was very detrimental. Because as we know, once it's on the internet, you don't get it removed.
No.
And so, and then from there, they passed out my information. So I was getting random text messages, random calls. I even had somebody take pictures of the front of my house and send them to me. It kind of got pretty bad.
That's really, really scary and intimidating, and, imagine if you weren't, a strong masculine male man that you are, and you was, a very vulnerable, a scared female in that situation. That'd be that'd be quite traumatic, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And, I'm pretty strong-hearted and strong-willed, and it struck a nerve with me, and to the point of, okay, so I can no longer share information about my children, which I don't. One of the things my recommendation to anybody who's on a dating site, because you never know who you're going to talk to, never talk about your children, never say where your children are, never actually say where you are, things like that. One of my go-to answers is, and I try to be as vague as possible now. So if I get a question of how are your kids, where are they at? My kids are safe and they're well taken care of.
Yeah.
So, you kind of have to evolve as the evolution of online dating, online social apps evolve. The scammer will evolve, and we have to evolve to combat that scammer.
How How do you think, the owners of these dating sites manage, do you think they take the scam situation problem seriously? Do you think they're doing enough to police it?
To be honest with you, I think that they're doing what they can do. It's if we don't report the profiles to the maintainers of these sites, the maintainers of these sites don't know to do anything. I'm in a group. It's a dating group, and it's actually on Facebook. They have the moderators and the administrators of the group, and they do what they can. But there's just, so many people that you can only do so much. They try to vet the individuals as much as they can. But that's not to say, I'm going to take somebody else's picture and pose as somebody else, and have an audio conversation with my voice or a voice changer, and then I get approved. Right? And then one of the things one of their notorious that they're about is they will take, once they start talking to you and you're actually in a couple of days of communication, they will try to move you off to a different means of talking.
Yeah.
So Google Hangouts, WhatsApp, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I recognize that as being something that, they were quite keen for me to almost immediately, when I was sort of playing the game. And I actually realised that it was probably the same person impersonating three different, in my case, there were three different supposed US military guys on the website, surprisingly with very similar profiles, all widowed apparently, and very similar blurb connected to their pictures. And I thought, well, that's a huge red flag for a start. But I thought, let's just play around with this a little bit, and let's see if I can get them to make a mistake, which is what happened, in terms of how it panned out. But in all those cases, they were trying to get me away from that platform to speak on something different other than through that messaging service.
That's right. There and plenty of fish. That was the one that I was thinking of. There is the techniques that they use. It's constantly evolving. So one of the detrimental things that occurred to me, because I dove headlong and I had talked to so many people, is that if I can't shake your hand, typically I'm not going to believe what you send me in the text.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because with the way that the online community is going, with the social apps, the dating apps, et cetera, that a lot of people just want to have a conversation and not really meet and do anything. When you talk to as many people as I have and you've given out as much money as I have, you stop trusting, like altogether.
That's a big shame, David, isn't it? That is a really big shame.
It is, and I'm starting to. It's not that I lost trust. So I did, but I didn't. It's interesting that I'm starting to give people the benefit of the doubt because I've kind of evolved to not everybody I'm going to talk to is going to be a scammer. That being said, some of the stories, I actually met a young lady who, had I not met her in person, I would have said she was a scammer.
Really? And what led you to believe that?
Just some of the things that she was saying, some of the story, and they go pretty elaborate. So she was telling me how a tree fell on her car, and she could not travel around because the car was inoperable. And then she was having some issues with the insurance company not wanting to pay for the car to be repaired. There was about the place that she was trying to buy the car from. She was having some issues because she just got out of neck surgery. And so there was all of these things. As I'm looking at this story, she's telling me in text, and I'm like, okay, I have to meet you. I mean, you're 3 miles down the road. I have to meet you. Typically, a scam will be, okay, you want to meet me. I need to do something with my mom or my grandmother or my aunt or my uncle or my brother or my sister. Give me a $25 gift card and I'll meet you wherever you want. This individual didn't do that. This individual said, here's my address. Come over if you want. And then I met her in person and it was like, okay, so you really have a brace around your neck. You're really on your car. It's like, okay, so the first person I met off the internet, the story would have been, had I not met them, a scam story. So that kind of added to the whole, maybe some of these stories are true. If you can't meet the person for whatever reason they give you, if they say I can't meet you until I pay this or until I take care of this, chances are that's a scammer.
Yeah. So what do you think, in terms of leaving this particular episode around some very typical red flags that you could share with us and the listeners around, what are the most common ones?
So some of the things that I've learned is everyone who's listening, how the people in your area talk. How the sentence structure is. Pay attention to that because that is a good indication of what type of person you may be talking to. You know how your country abbreviation is. Pay attention to that. So here in the U.S., and I'm going to kind of give it away, which is going to make it even that much more difficult to determine. People in the States will refer to us as the States or U.S. They typically don't say USA. So that is a great indication. If somebody says USA, I'm in Kansas, USA, they're not a native. They don't live in the United States.
Because that's not what natives usually say.
Right. We don't refer to us as the United States of America, unless it's a debate or political. This is America, or I live in the United States.
Right.
The U.S., if you're outside of the country but you're from here, you're going to refer to it as back in the States.
Yes.
So that's a good indication of the type of individual you're talking to. They're not going to be familiar with your area. They're not going to be familiar with how you talk. Some of the lingo, if you say certain things like, I'm drawing a blank. Certain things that you would say based in your demographic area, your geographic area, but they don't say it at all.
Right.
But they say, I live right down the street from you, but I'm going to talk in terms that you don't use.
Yeah. I get that. So would you say that, when you thinking about what percentage of these scammers are actually outside of most people's geographical area, would you say it's almost all foreigners, all the scammers are usually foreigners from Asia or Africa, or typically?
So there's a kind of a grouping of where they are. When most people hear the word scammer, they think Nigeria, they think Ghana, they think South Africa, things that area. They're in China, they're in Russia, they're in the United States. There was an arrest made not very long ago, within the past 3 weeks. That was a pretty large scam bust here in the United States. So most, if not I'm not going to say all, but most of them originate from South Africa area, the South, the Nigeria,
Yeah.
South America, Nigeria, Ghana, those area where it's the normal is poverty.
Yeah.
The government controls everything, and so they're just trying to make money to make ends meet. Their intentions may be good, but their intentions towards us, me, you, are not good. They're not honorable.
No, I think certainly with the ones I came across, that there were definitely African Nigerians, like you said, and I was fortunate to very early on in my life, have some good friends who were actually Nigerian, who were students and friends of mine, and so I got used to the language, the lingo, and the way they spoke. And when I did actually get one of these guys on the phone, I recognised it straight away. It was just so obvious to me because I was used to that listening to that dialect in that accent.
Right, that's right. And you had asked me some other tips. Most real people, myself, you, real people, will not have a problem having an audio call or a video call. So, if there's always an excuse of my phone is broke, it's prepaid time, I could go into, the currency of other countries and how their data actually works in some of these scam countries. Sorry, that's misspoke. In some of these countries that are notorious for scamming, it baffles me that it's kind of known that in 2019, if somebody's not going to audio or video chat with you and they're asking for money, they're a scammer.
Yeah,
I would think that would be common knowledge. But oddly enough, it's a $1 trillion industry.
Yeah. I actually know one woman that got scammed out of £19,000 through one of these dating sites, by a very clever guy. So that was a heck of a lot of money. I don't know how much you've invested over the time, in highlighting this problem and researching this problem, but she was so ashamed of it as well. She said, I've been a very, very stupid woman, and I felt so sorry for her.
Yeah, it's my biggest advice is speak out. Don't be ashamed. These people they've been doing it for a very long time, and their whole goal is to shame you into staying hidden. If you spend, I met a gentleman who not only spent $200,000 but took out another loan and spent a total of like almost $500,000.
Oh my gosh!
Doesn't want to speak out. Like, why don't you want to speak out? And he's like, well, I'm ashamed.
Yeah.
I'm like, well,
yeah.
Well, what are you ashamed of? And so the biggest tactic that they have is the fear tactic.
The shame tool. Yeah,
absolutely. So, and I have learned that fear is one of the biggest tactics that they use.
Yeah. I mean, this poor woman did the same thing. She sold her property, went into rented accommodation to send this money, and, obviously then I never heard from them again. And, like you say, they play that shame card very well.
They do, and it's unfortunate that that's the biggest thing that they play on, that this person's going to give me money and then they're not going to say anything because I'm going to take all their money and totally destroy not only their life, which would have been my life, but the lives of everybody around them, which would have been my kids, my family, et cetera, et cetera. And in the hopes that they never speak out, right? So they hope I don't speak out. Well, now I've evolved. I'm a different breed of target because I learned if I give you $25, that means I accept that you're a scammer and I have hooked you. And now I'm going to kind of not necessarily, but quote unquote, attack the person behind the words.
So now they become the fish on the hook.
Right. And because they think they're going to get more money, they won't go away. And so it's a reverse psychological attack, so to speak. It's, I know you're trying to scam me, but I'm going to give you a little bit of money, so you have to tolerate everything I say to you.
So what's actually happening, do you think, in terms of, the police doing anything internationally to clamp down on this problem, and the FBI, is it considered to be, something worth their time?
So that's a very interesting question. As a victim, we're all going to say, yes, they should do more. As they put it to me when I talk to them, they have to hit, an individual has to hit a certain amount of money that they've actually given anybody before they'll even start to investigate. And so there's that limit. When I went to the local police, I was told, hey, just block them and then don't worry about it because it's on the internet and you can't be charged with a crime until it's proven. And my response to them was, but this is my kid on the internet. And it was the same thing. And the officer said, look, there's no allegation. It's on the internet. And the biggest problem with it being on the internet is it's judge or jury by society.
I mean, they do quite a lot, don't they, to, when it comes to online grooming of children and, catching paedophiles and things like that. I don't see why they shouldn't take this just as seriously.
Excuse me. Well, they would. The problem is you have to invest money. And so the government, and I would venture to say that any government is not going to invest money when the turnout or the payoff is not really worth it. And what I mean by that is if the government has to pay out $100,000 to trap 5 people, the payout on those 5 people is not worth the $100,000. And so that's the biggest problem with the scams in themselves. And that's across the board, whether it be, and I don't know what kind of scams you guys get over there, but we get calls for Facebook lottery winner, the IRS, you owe taxes, you're going to go to jail.
Yeah. Well, I've got, multi-million pounds that my uncle's left in his will, but I can't release it without you helping me, and I'll, make you a millionaire if you help me do it and all that.
Right. Exactly. And that's there's not enough manpower in the government to actually go after, because when you take one person down, 10 more pop up.
I suppose the only thing to do is do like we're doing and create more awareness around the signs to look for, and educate people around being responsible for noticing.
That's right. That knowledge is power. I've got a buddy of mine that I'm working with. I work with, not working with regarding this, but I work with, and he had just gone through a divorce, and we were talking about the people on the internet that he's trying to meet, and he told me that he met somebody on Tinder and they went out to some drinks, and he paid like $100 bar tab, and he was telling me, and I was like, okay, so what happened? He goes, well, I met a scammer in person. And that kind of hit home because this young lady that he met probably wasn't a scammer because she met him in person. But it's interesting that once we have the knowledge of what to look for, we're always looking for it.
Yeah. Like you said, you kind of, to some extent, tar everybody with the same brush when they could be actually, somebody that was genuine, like the girl that you met that actually was local and genuinely in that dire straits that she was in.
Yeah, and it's trust is a very interesting thing. I met her, and I had an extra car. I'm like, I'm not driving this car. Do you want to borrow this car? And so she borrowed my car. It takes good care of it. It takes very, very, very good care of it, actually. And so, but I'm always, and I actually called her a scammer to her face. But, and it was one of those things. Her rebuttal to me was, I'm not a scammer. You've met me in person. And my response, and I wasn't even thinking about it, but my response was, just because I met you in person doesn't mean you're not a scammer.
Well, that's true. I mean, look at all the con artists of the past. They've all met people in person, haven't they?
That's right. So, and these other scams, the email scam, the phone call scam, those are easy to pick out. The online romance scam is the most difficult scam to pick out, because you never know if you're talking to a group of people or if you're talking to one individual,
or even what sex they might be.
And exactly. And I've actually met, and this is where they get really complicated. I've actually had a video chat with a young lady who was overseas, but the person who's texting me is a male. So they are very elaborate, forged documents, things of that nature. Here's another piece of advice. Anybody who sends you information to prove their story is true, chances are it's not a true story.
Yeah, because why wouldn't you be affronted if it wasn't, if you were genuine?
That's right. And the inheritance, that's probably the most typical scam that's used in romance. Nice to meet you. You go through the formalities. Nice to meet you. Tell me about yourself. Oh, I'm X. I'm X years old. I live alone, et cetera, et cetera. I run a company, blah, blah, blah. Then they automatically give you too much information about them trusting you. Hey, I get a good feeling about you. I think I can trust you. Here's a document of my inheritance. I've never met a real person that would ever send a document through a text message to prove that they're real.
No, I mean that really is, really thinking that that people are really stupid if they think that is likely to happen in real life. Especially to a relative stranger, so to speak.
Oh, absolutely. Somebody that you just started talking to a week ago, and they're basically saying, hey, if you give me $5,000, I can get $1 million and I'll come and marry you, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, come on. Who in real life does that?
Well, David, we're coming up to time now. It's been really a fascinating subject, which I'm happy to sort of delve a bit deeper and have more conversations around it in possibly future episodes, if you'd be happy to come on again.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, Lynn, it's been my pleasure. And, thank you for taking the time and talking with me.
That's great. Is there any contact information you can give our listeners so that if they did want to get in touch with you, then that you'd be happy to share?
Yeah, you can actually, I actually have a couple of different websites. The one regarding online scams can be located at Scammer Us. Which is www.scamareus.com. And basically that's just some information that I've kind of put together about online romance scams. And you can send me an email at david@scammerus.com.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I'll make sure that information, as well as your other contact information and some useful bits and pieces that David sent me about who he is and what he's done previously, is contained within our show notes as usual, so that if you did miss making a note of that information, it's all there for you in the show notes for the listeners. I want to say thank you very much again, David Scott. It's been absolutely brilliant. I've loved speaking about this subject, and it's so different to speak about something that is so useful, but, very much related to love, dating and relationships.
Absolutely, Lynn. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. So, listeners, there we have it. David Scott. Really interesting episode. I hope you gained some really valuable insights and bits of wisdom from that. I know I did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So, for now, remember, true love starts with opening your hearts. Until next time, goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Hearts Entwined podcast. You can follow Lyn via the Facebook group 2 Hearts Entwined, or search Lyn Smith inspirational speaker at LinkedIn, or email lyn@hearts-entwined.com. That's LYN@hearts-entwined.com. Remember, true love starts with opening our hearts.